like to know if, okay, yes, we are being streamed right now. And I'd like to welcome you all to our session. And first of all, I'd like to give a few announcements. To make a few announcements, I'd like to remind everyone to vote for the International Executive Committee for SIGraDi. We have 5 openings. The candidates are already, we already have the candidates. You just have to log in and to cast your vote. And we also like to remind you that tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have the General Assembly of SIGraDi with the announcement of Arturo Montagu Prize and also the voting for the new statutes of the society. So we were all welcome to join us there. So it's really good to be here with you. And without further ado, I think I'm going to just let the video roll and then we can have a discussion. I'm going to start the video first. So
Rodrigo, did you share your screen? Okay, now it's going. Yeah, but until now we don't have anything, just a blackboard. Rodrigo, just a guess, but maybe because you are a co-host, you need to be the host, no, to share.
yeah, but all I get is kind of froze here.
I think now you're the host.
Are you there with me? It unfroze.
Yeah, we can see the video.
Okay.
Play. Yeah.
So let's see if you can hear it now when I hit play.
We can't hear.
No. Rodrigo, did you check the box that says share sound and optimize for video clip? I guess you have to do that.
I
think it is possible in the square button at the upper right corner of the window.
Rodrigo, we cannot hear anything. Tiago, Rodrigo, can
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
I can't hear the presentation.
Yeah, me neither. We are trying to find
I
the
see.
problem. Okay. I think it's probably because Rodrigo was not the host at the beginning. And now he's the host, but there's a buzzing between this. I think that he's asking for some help. Maybe I can try from my side. Oh, let's see.
Hello everyone.
Okay,
will
great.
present for you the paper called Automated Generation of Layouts and Buckets, Development and Application for Writing Program and Parametric Modeling. The team that developed this work was me, Pedro Oscar Pizzetti Mariano, from Universidade Federal de Santa Catarina, Miriam Aparecida Mai, from Universidade Federal de Ouro Preto, Bruna Pacheco Campos, from University Federal de Santa Catarina, and Carlos Eduardo Vezola Vaz, from Universidade Federal de Santa Catarina. Okay, in the first part, I will introduce for you some objectives of this work, and next I will talk about a little of the subjects that compose the theoretical body of this work. In this article aims to demonstrate the application of the use of writing visual programming information floor plans in the early stages of the architecture design for the focus in the houses of social interest. The main result of this article was that the algorithm can develop different composition, similar floor plans in abstract space. And to create this algorithm, we use different acknowledgement, like the computational tools. We use the main software is the Rhinoceros 3D to develop the programmation we created in the visual programming component Grasshopper and the writing program C#. We use the plugins WASP, Colibri, and Tutubox in the plugin Grasshopper. To create this algorithm in Grasshopper, we use three different methods like the shape grammars, stochastic search, and dynamic programming. And to available the buckets of these plants, used another two methods, the QB and the QG. In English, QB is the basic unit cost. It's a method that you can use the area in square meters of your space to achieve a result of the buckets. And the another, the QG, in English, Geometric United Cost, use different values of a floor plan, like the wet areas, the perimeter of the external wall, the perimeter of internal wall, the area, the total area of the construction, and use these different values in a formula. That this formula was published in another articles in Brazil, and in this method, the QG is better than the QB because when you use them in this formula, you can achieve a result more precisely than QB because you use different values that compound the space. Now I will talk about the methodology that we use to develop this work. This part is divided in four another subparts, and each one is used to achieve a determined objective. The first part, we create the space that the terrain that the space problem we will develop, the plan we will develop. This part was developed in a right programmation, like the C#. The second part was used to create the minimum space of that we will use in the programmation, and also was developed in right programmation. Third part now was developed in visual programmation. We use the plugin WASP to create a shape grammar. It's like a shape grammar that you can formulate this space according some rules. These rules was used is like this. First you put a starting point, and next you come the living room, after coming the wall, after this you have the first room and the second room, the two bedrooms, after this kitchen. You can create the toilet. After this process is finished, you can repeat this process infinite times. Before the third party repeated, the fourth party started. This part is when they take the metric of this space and transform in that formula in the two available methods, the bucket methods, the QG and the QB. The test took place at 3 different times. The first 2 rounds with a characteristics described above, and the third taking into account the minimum lot of size established as according to the Estatuto da Cidade Federal, a national law in Brazil, with the composition start point in the center point of the front boundary. In total, for the refinement of the third steps, the programming was generated 140 composition in sequence. Here is some samples of the results of the QG and the QB obtained by the programmation. With this result, it was noted that the automation of the layout generations process can help increase the number of possibilities for distributing rooms. The use of this program also allows designers to evaluate compositions according to their costs, makes it possible to find more interesting architecture designs for a given construction cost. The results found also demonstrate the importance of application and teaching programming and logic practice with architecture and urbanism. The growing use of technologies that imply the use of programming, such as simulations, in something that is already part of the design practice routine, and its correct use can result in the improvement of various design characteristics. And to finish, here is some of the main reference that we use in this work, and we would like to thanks for the University Federal of Santa Catarina for the space to develop this work, and the GMA group, grupo de modelagem avançada that was a lab in the University Federal of Santa Catarina that incentivized this kind of research.
This presentation is Energy-Based Design, a digital design system for the design of energy harvesting building envelopes. The energy-based design paradigm resides in the idea that the shape of things in nature and in the universe comes from formation process in which energy plays a fundamental role. Carl Sagan wrote, "The passage from the chaos of the Big Bang to the cosmos that we are beginning to know is the most awesome transformation of matter and energy that we have been privileged to glimpse." Energy-based design applied to buildings intends to mirror the process of formation of things existing in nature and in the universe. Why to apply the energy-based design paradigm to buildings? Because building sector accounts for 36% of the total value of energy consumption worldwide, 30% in the operational phase and 6% in the construction phase. So, the goal of the research is that buildings achieve energy self-sufficiency, making them producers in addition to consumers of energy. In that sense, it is proposed a digital design system that adapts the shape of the building envelopes to the trajectory of sun rays, thus allowing to increase the capacity of the envelope to harvest solar energy. To develop the intended digital design system, it was elaborated a building envelope grammar based on the concept of shape grammars. In this way, shape grammars are the formulas used to encode the digital design system. The building envelope grammar is a generic grammar. Generic means that the grammar can be applied to design different programs of buildings and in different site contexts. The building envelope grammar includes shape transformation rules that perform operations on the building envelope, namely rotation, normalization, division, and evaluation of the incident solar radiation. The operation of normalization makes the surface of the envelope perpendicular to the sun rays, considering its chosen sun position from the solar trajectory throughout the year. The picture at the right shows some examples of developed rules for the grammar. Rule number 21, for example, shows a normalized shape on the roof that is evaluated in relation to the incident solar radiation. For the digital design system was also elaborated a software prototype, WIDIA. WIDIA is the acronym for Language Interface for the Development of Intelligent Algorithms and is a software prototype created specifically for the building envelope design system. WIDIA implements the generic building envelope grammar and allows the development of specific grammars that can be used to generate efficient envelope solutions in harvesting solar radiation. The following video shows an example of the workflow of WIDIA. WIDIA is a plugin for Grasshopper, and the workflow begins by establishing the initial shape for the building envelope. It can be defined different parameters for the initial shape of the building envelope, like the length, the width, and the height of the building envelope, as well as some parameters related to an interior empty zone inside the building envelope. In this way, it is possible to define a diverse range of shapes for the initial shape of the envelope. It is also possible to activate a predefined configuration for the building envelope. In this case, it is a 5-bedroom single family house that will serve as an example as in this workflow. After defining the initial shape, it is possible to evaluate it and see the evaluation in a simplified window of WIDIA that shows the incident solar radiation as well as the estimated energy production and energy consumption in the building. After that, it is possible to proceed with the design of the building envelope, applying one of the different operations that are defined in the building envelope grammar. For example, the normalization operation. And it is possible to choose different positions of the sun to serve as reference for the operation of normalization. After choosing one of the sun position for normalization, it is possible also to impose a constant of height to the building envelope. In this case it is 7 meters, that define in this way the final normalized shape for the envelope. After that it is possible to evaluate the normalized shape and open another window of Lydia to see the evaluation of the normalized shape, comparing this way the evaluation of the normalized shape with the initial shape. It is also possible to advance with the design of the building envelope in the main interface of Lydia, that contains also the initial shape of the building envelope, and where it is possible to define several operations of transformation that are previously defined in the algorithms designed in Grasshopper. It was possible, for example, to apply a rotation, a normalization in the left facade, and to advance to another steps of transformation, to apply, for example, another normalization on the roof of the building envelope, to activate the evaluation window, and to compare the results obtained with the other shapes that were designed. We're also designed some solutions of the building envelope. It was chosen a case study, the case study of the single family house with 5 bedrooms located in the city of Lisbon, Portugal. And 2 types of shape were developed, the static envelope shape and the dynamic envelope shape. Different operations of the grammar were applied, rotation, normalization and division. And the picture at right shows some of the examples of the static shapes that were developed. Shape A, the initial shape, the rotated and normalized shape on the roof, shape D, the rotated, divided and twice normalized shape on the roof, shape E, and the normalized shape on the roof and on the left facade, shape G. It was also elaborated a dynamic shape, that is a shape that changes along the year according with the different positions of the sun. The dynamic shape has as basis the rotated and normalized shape on the roof, the shape D, and it is the result of the summatory of different operations of normalization on the roof, according with different sun positions along the year. The following video shows the dynamic shape, changing its shape along the year, according with the different positions of the sun. We also analyzed the results obtained for the static and dynamic shapes. It is possible to say that shape transformation operations improve the energy efficiency of the building envelopes, and that dynamic shape performs well compared to static shapes. The main factor that was evaluated was the energy production performance compared to the initial shape. The shape that obtained the best result was shape E, the rotated, divided and normalized shape twice on the roof, and obtained more 16.2% of energy production compared with the initial shape. However, the dynamic shape obtained a very close result to the best one. It obtained more 15.1% of energy production compared with the initial shape. As conclusion, it is possible to say that the building envelope grammar and Lydia are effective tools to algorithmically design envelope solutions which increase the energy harvesting performance. As future work, it is intended to develop the building envelope grammar and Lydia in order to improve their capabilities, types of shape transformations and materials, as well to relate the building envelope design with the linear spaces, and to couple the generative design system with an optimization algorithm. Daniel Mateus, wish to thank CIALT, Research Center for Architecture, Urbanism and Design, Lisbon School of Architecture, for having been supported with a grant. Thank you.
Everyone, my name is Ioana Simeonidou. I will present part of the research project titled From Flat Drawings to the Ultra-Real, a taxonomy of architectural visualizations, undertaken by Panagiotis Papapanagiotou and supervised by myself at the Department of Architecture of the University of Thessaly in Greece. Digital representation methods have had a significant impact in the advancement of architectural visualizations. Nowadays, digital representations of architectural space form a substantial part of architectural research. Architectural representation evolves with the evolution of technology, digitalization, and intermediality, considering the overlapping of different disciplines. The initial hypothesis that there are different styles of architectural visualization and that they agglomerate to form distinct taxonomies is to be verified through the analysis of hundreds of images found on the internet. It is evident that style and technology affect each other reciprocally. Mario Capo remarks that all tools feed back onto the actions of their users, and digital tools are no exception. Manufactured objects can easily reveal their software bloodline to the educated observers. It is clear that software selection strongly affects design outcome, as Pierluigi Sereno brilliantly explained in the lecture Form Follows Software during Arcadia 2003. Due to the fact that there is limited bibliography on this topic, in order to respond to the aforementioned hypothesis, a combination of research methods is employed with the aim to reach valid conclusions. Aiming at an objective observation of the above trends, it is considered necessary to monitor and research the dominant three-dimensional and imaging sites, as well as relevant architectural publications. For this reason, a search based on Google's search engine optimization and the percentage of recorded traffic was used as a basis to determine the most prevalent sites that were used for image collection. ArcDaily, a site with remarkable architectural projects around the world with 14 million users worldwide, Pinterest, a social networking site through online images, Instagram mobile app, a social networking application through image sharing. There are currently 317,000 posts with the hashtag architectural visualization. Ronen Beckerman, a blog that deals exclusively with architectural visualization. Evermotion, a site oriented towards the technical part of the production, as it provides a separate category on the production process. And Alex4Graph, a site that displays a variety of architectural visualizations. Having collected around 500 images from the aforementioned sources, a methodology for the analysis and categorization of the images was deemed necessary. As there are no prescribed research protocols for the analysis of architectural visualization, a combination of methods for design research was used. Taking into consideration the above, the analysis of the images, following the strategies of decomposition, variation, visualization, and reference study. The following 7 styles of architectural visualization emerged: digital painting, the sketch, collage, twig saturation, neutral, lights on, and is it real? A digital painting is usually created as a freehand drawing on a digital tablet. The outlines of the forms as well as the shadows are strongly emphasized with black color, and the rest of the image stands back with soft shades. Based on a single perspective sketches, this style of representation may look unfinished. It may combine hand drawings with superimposition of images or photographs. Despite the advancements of technology, there are architectural offices that opt for low-tech representations, such as collages. These works are distinguished for the simplicity of the forms and the intense color tones. Proportions as well as materials are realistic. Due to the absence of shadows and sun, the images look relatively flat. In twig saturation images, the main features are the use of orange and brown color palettes, a strong color contrast with overexposure. Light beams and light spots are often encountered. The sun and artificial light of reflective surfaces delivering realism to the image. This architectural representation style resembles clay rendering. The color palette is dominated by white and black. Proportions are realistic, but textures are minimal with glossy materials and transparent elements. Lights on usually depicts the time of the day when, although it is partly late at night, it is not totally dark and we can still see details. The buildings are always illuminated. The background is of minor importance and usually covered by a strong fog or blur. As the name suggests, this rendering style is so realistic that it might be perceived as a real photograph of the building. It is characterized by exceptional precision and meticulous details. The liveliness of the image is achieved by the carefully placed textures and realistic human figures. Here you see images from the case study created by Panayotis Papapanagiotou. The model used is a school in an urban context created by Ronen Beckerman. The case study aimed to verify that the digital workflow will result in images that stylistically adhere to the archetypical representatives of its style. Here you see a catalog of visualization taxonomies with main features and characteristics. To conclude, the paper has presented one of the possible taxonomies of architectural visualization and highlighted that there are set of parameters such as geometric accuracy, digital literacy, available time and budget, style, equipment, etc. The internet and social media have influenced the production of visualization and dissemination. There are several common features and characteristics with regards to composition, color palette, and storytelling. The field of architectural illustrations is fluid and constantly evolving. New representational styles will keep emerging and will inspire designers and architects worldwide. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hola a todos, muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Fidel Puebla y junto a Mauricio Loyola les presentamos nuestro trabajo titulado Using BIM for Improving Buildability in Small Scale Construction Project, a Comparative Case Study, y en español, Uso de BIM en la mejora de constructividad de proyectos de construcción de pequeña escala. Numerosos estudios han demostrado que el uso BIM tiene efectos positivos en la mejora de la eficiencia de construcción de los proyectos, ya que los procesos de modelación, simulación y evaluación digital de los procesos constructivos permiten identificar prematuramente los problemas y corregirlos a tiempo. Aquí mismo en SIGraDi se han presentado varios trabajos que reportan mejoras sustantivas de eficiencia en los procesos de diseño y construcción gracias a la utilización de esta tecnología. Sin embargo, la inmensa mayoría de los estudios están enfocados en edificios de gran escala y alta complejidad, tales como edificios hospitalarios, aeroportuarios, comerciales, de oficinas y otros similares. El uso de BIM en proyectos de pequeña escala, tales como viviendas unifamiliares o edificios de equipamiento menor, está notablemente menos cubierto por la literatura. La razón es que los edificios de gran escala plantean grandes desafíos constructivos y por lo tanto es natural concentrarse primero en ellos, pero es evidente que los proyectos más pequeños también tienen dificultades en su proceso de construcción y por lo tanto surge naturalmente la pregunta sobre cómo impacta el uso de BIM en la mejora de constructividad en estos proyectos de pequeña escala. Esta es la pregunta de investigación que abordó este trabajo. Para estudiar este problema, tomamos como marco conceptual el modelo de constructividad planteado por Goldsack y Loyola en 2010. Este modelo define formalmente a la constructividad como el grado en el cual un determinado diseño permite una mayor facilidad y eficiencia de construcción, sujeto a todos los requerimientos del cliente y el proyecto. En los proyectos arquitectónicos es un atributo especialmente importante, pues diseños con mayor constructividad facilitan el desarrollo de obras más eficientes, rápidas, seguras, económicas y de mejor calidad final. Para evaluar la constructividad, este modelo plantea una serie de factores de constructividad y de principios de diseño, que están resumidos en esta tabla. Por lo tanto, conceptualmente, este trabajo está situado en la intersección de tres temáticas: BIM, constructividad y proyectos de pequeña escala. En honor al tiempo, omitiré los antecedentes conceptuales sobre BIM en esta presentación, que sí están cubiertos en nuestro artículo. La metodología consistió en un estudio de caso comparativo de proyectos de pequeña escala, específicamente vivienda unifamiliar, desarrollado con BIM en Chile. Para la selección de la muestra de casos, se realizó un levantamiento de proyectos de vivienda desarrollados con BIM a partir de la información disponible en sitios web y publicaciones nacionales del área. Luego se preseleccionaron todos aquellos casos en los que existía suficiente información técnica disponible y que los profesionales de proyecto manifestaran disponibilidad de participar en este estudio. Para la muestra definitiva, se eligieron 5 casos que correspondieran a oficinas con diferentes características de tamaño y experiencia y de alcance de sus servicios profesionales, por la otra. En este gráfico se muestra la categorización. En el eje X se muestra el alcance de sus servicios profesionales, ya sea solo de diseño arquitectónico, SD, o fuera diseño y construcción, DC. En el eje Y se muestra el tamaño y la experiencia de las oficinas de arquitectura, desde las más pequeñas con experiencia en proyectos de remodelaciones, ampliaciones y habilitaciones, hasta las más grandes con experiencia en el diseño de edificios de gran escala y complejidad con metodología BIM. Los 5 casos estudiados son la Casa Antigua, ubicada en Santiago y diseñada por los arquitectos Badí y Sofia en el 2016, la Casa Lago Colico, ubicada en Colico y diseñada por la oficina Estudios Cabini, la Casa Licán, ubicada en Marina Peyúgue y diseñada por las oficinas de arquitectura Arquisión Arquitecto en 2021, la Casa Piedra Blanca, ubicada en Peñarolén y diseñada por los arquitectos Lobos y Petruccelli en 2018, y la Casa Las Colinas, ubicada en Lobarnechea y diseñada por los arquitectos Luders, Gómez, Cruz y La Barca en 2020. En todos estos casos hicimos revisión del proyecto, nos entrevistamos con el arquitecto y además le solicitamos la información BIM en formato IFC. En general, los resultados muestran que BIM sí produce beneficios de constructividad en los proyectos de pequeña escala, lo que en principio confirma lo que está reportado en la literatura. En esta tabla se muestra un resumen de los principales beneficios reportados, los que voy a comentar a continuación. El primer resultado más claro y evidente, pero no sorpresivo, es que los proyectos que presentaron mayor grado de constructividad general fueron aquellos donde la tarea de diseño y construcción dependían de los profesionales de una misma oficina. Esto se explica fundamentalmente por la integración natural que ocurre en estas oficinas y por el control completo que existe del proyecto. En estos casos, el beneficio en mejora de constructividad fue integral y transversal. En cambio, en las oficinas donde estas tareas de diseño y construcción están separadas, el análisis muestra que el uso de BIM también ayudó, pero el beneficio se concretó considerablemente en la mejora de comunicación y coordinación entre profesionales. Otro resultado claro fue que la experiencia de una oficina usando BIM en proyectos de gran escala se traspasa directamente a proyectos de pequeña escala. Esto se vio claramente en el análisis de la Casa Antigua, que fue desarrollado por una oficina que además desarrolla proyectos de gran envergadura. En este proyecto, la oficina usó el mismo método de gestión de información BIM de sus proyectos. En general, los beneficios observados y reportados son las mejoras en la disminución de errores de obra, mayor eficiencia en el uso de materiales y mayor calidad constructiva general, lo que es coincidente con lo reportado en proyectos de mayor escala. Un aspecto diferente, sin embargo, fue que en los proyectos de menor escala es destacado el beneficio de mejor comprensión del proyecto por parte de los trabajadores de terreno y la consecuente reducción del tiempo total de construcción debido a la menor cantidad de esperas por instrucciones. Lo que ocurre es que en las obras de menor escala, la distancia entre obrero, supervisor y modelo BIM es más corta y por tanto la información fluye más fácilmente entre todos los participantes. Otro aspecto diferente fue que los factores externos, tales como el terreno y la accesibilidad, no resultaron relevantes. Esto marca una diferencia con proyectos de mayor escala, donde BIM sí tiene un impacto significativo en estos factores. Sin embargo, es posible sospechar que esto se explique por las características particulares de emplazamiento de los 5 proyectos estudiados, con abundante terreno disponible. En relación con las dificultades observadas, que se ven aquí en la tabla 4, sin duda el principal problema es la falta de profesionales especialistas que utilicen BIM. Este problema también existe en proyectos de mayor envergadura, pero es mucho más crítico en proyectos pequeños, donde los profesionales participantes usualmente pertenecen a empresas pequeñas que tienen limitaciones para invertir en software y capacitación. Esta limitación obliga a los profesionales que sí usan la tecnología a recurrir a formatos de WG para recibir y enviar información, lo que ralentiza todo el proceso e introduce riesgos de errores, omisiones y descoordinaciones. En general, el resultado más importante de los beneficios del uso BIM en los proyectos de pequeña escala observados en este trabajo son mayoritariamente coincidentes con lo reportado en la literatura sobre el uso de BIM en la mejora de constructividad de proyectos de mayor escala. En otras palabras, estos resultados sugieren que no existen grandes diferencias significativas en los beneficios obtenidos con el uso de la tecnología entre proyectos de pequeña o gran escala. Las diferencias que sí se pudieron observar con el mayor impacto de los factores relacionados a la mano de obra y el menor impacto en los factores de accesibilidad en el terreno. Parecen ser resultados sesgados por los proyectos de la muestra más que por la naturaleza de la pequeña escala, y por lo tanto, un estudio de replicación con una muestra más extensa y con otros casos, como por ejemplo viviendas urbanas, podría despejar este interrogante. En resumen, este trabajo ayuda a despejar el mito de BIM solo sirve para proyectos complejos, el que es muy común entre profesionales que no conocen la tecnología. Creemos que una mayor investigación es necesaria, por ejemplo, cuantificar económicamente el beneficio que se obtiene en las empresas al usar BIM en proyectos de pequeña escala, y así evaluar la conveniencia de la inversión de empresas pequeñas que desarrollan este tipo de proyectos. Finalmente, queremos agradecer a los arquitectos Felipe Sofia, Benjamín Escabini, Francisco Javier Domínguez, Pablo Lobos y Claudio Abarca por su tiempo y por permitirnos estudiar sus proyectos, y Ignacio Falcone, Juan Pablo Morales y Pablo Guino por sus valiosos comentarios que ayudaron a encaminar este trabajo. Muchas gracias.
So those were our presentations, and I guess I would say that these 4 presentations show very interesting researches with very clear goals, very clear methods, and very clear future developments. And yet they all have room for surprise and wonder, at least for us watching, but I truly hope that for the authors too. Anyway, this is a clear sign of scientific maturity within the field and its many branches. So congratulations are in order for all the authors. 3 of these papers deal in one way or another with the automatic use of data, or better yet, information in the sense of data processed and given meaning. But the use of this data to compute it as a form generation or real-time evaluation of form performance. The 4th, from Ioana, creates an important contrast in the sense that it deals with subjective aspects of form. So subjective, in fact, that it addresses explicitly form, or to be more precise, space representation, trying to find out representational patterns and their effects in our interpretation of spatial designs. But in the end, they all represent different ways to address spatial imagination using this wonderful symbolic manipulation, imagination enhancing tool that is the computer. Therefore, it is always very interesting to see those algorithms as a poetic representation of space in the form of code that describes spatial relationships. I'd like to hear more about the generation of layouts. What were the surprises when the algorithm started to combine those spaces, Daniel? Have you tried to multiply or combine the designs to observe the effects on a larger scale? I wonder if it would be interesting to group similarly evaluated layouts in order to achieve variation within the same cost range. Also, when it comes to energy-based design, it was very interesting to see the possibilities of buildings as modeled by energy, as many, if not all things in nature. Do you see it as a poetic in itself? How else do you see energy translated in building? Sorry, Daniel, I addressed you, but this one is for you actually.
Okay.
It was also interesting to see being used in small scales, as our cities need more and more renewal and refurbishment instead of new constructions. How do you see BIM in this context? Or even better, do you think it could go even smaller in scale and address refurbishments within the interior design refurbishments and this kind of planning, where surface and furniture matter most, and the persistence and the pre-existence have so great an impact in the design? And Ioana, speaking of surface, could you tell us more if you could find a structure of organization in your taxonomy? Do you think being algorithms and data-driven design change architectural representation as you found in your, the kind of representation you studied? Or do you think they are separate things, so to speak, they are treated as separate things? So some questions for you. Tiago, would you have some questions also? Like
yes. Yeah, I have some, I mean, as a backup moderator, I have some backup questions, but I think that there's space for you to discuss with each other, so I will keep mine just if we need. Okay, so please answer Rodrigo and also ask questions for each other. That's very important, to space for exchanging. Okay.
So who would like to start?
I can start. Answering to the questions about how I see that the energy-based design in the can be applied according with the nature patterns. I think the rules that I developed in the building envelope grammar are based in a nature interpretation, because in that sense they are an abstraction of nature behavior, because there are some, for example, plants that moves and expose themselves in order to capture in a more efficient the sun radiation. So they in that sense they normalize their shape to be exposed more efficiently to the sun. So it was based on that observation and in the abstraction of that observation, that the rules of the grammar were in this stage initially developed. So in that sense, they are an abstraction of nature patterns. They are at this moment the shapes that are being generated are not the shapes are more abstract than natural, but if they continue to be developed, they have the potential to become more similar to natural shapes. Because if we think in applying several times the rule of normalization together with the division operation, it's possible to continually normalize the shape of the building envelope, and the shape becomes more organic on that way. It's possible as well to develop another rules that will be based as well in nature patterns. So I think it is possible to develop the energy-based design that I'm proposing here to be more similar with nature. But I think that could not be bad to have shapes that in some sense are abstract, let's say, because they are a production of the human being. So to have a certain mix of abstraction and nature shape, I think it can become interesting for the shape itself.
Okay, thank you. Mauricio, Joanna, Pedro.
Hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Great. Well, our topic is, let's say, a highly subjective issue. It relates to visualization, it relates to artistic aspects. So how can we quantify aesthetical criteria? How can we categorize based on style? There is a very strong notion of subjectivity here. Yet, let's say that the human eye, and maybe even some artificial intelligence algorithm, can spot some stylistic similarities and differences, and can visually group architectural representations that seem to belong to certain strands. Yeah. So although it's a highly subjective topic, in order to maintain some objectivity within this research, the only thing that we could do was to increase the numbers, to study as many images as possible, and to kind of normalize the source of these images. based on some, objective data. So yes, as I said, this is just one possible taxonomy of architectural visualizations, not the only truth, not the only one. But I think this is an interesting topic for ongoing research. And of course, we will continue. Regarding, I believe that BIM is definitely the future, but it mostly relates to modeling, to architectural modeling and geometry, and a little bit less to representation. It can help us identify what element is what, and maybe in an automated way, let's say, assign materials directly and create some automated processes. However, we can still claim that the same BIM model can be rendered differently, as we did with the case study, and can be visualized in several different ways that could or not adhere to the aforementioned, let's say, 7 styles. So yes, there is a relation, but not a direct relationship as there would be with some, artistic practices or visualization studies or some theory even.
Thank you.
Okay, so Fidel, who is the main author, he is going to answer the question for us. Fidel, are you there?
Hola a todos. Buenas tardes. Con respecto a la pregunta, claro, los casos que estudiamos, también hubo algunos que desarrollaban remodelaciones y ampliaciones y nos manifestaban que el problema de eso es que es muy poco, no es muy conveniente, por así decirlo, debido a que los problemas, BIM tiene, al principio es muy caro para poder implementarlo. Significa que hay que hacer una gran inversión en compra de software y a veces también en hardware. Entonces es muy complicado hacer proyectos tan pequeños. Entonces, además de hacer proyectos de remodelaciones o ampliaciones, tienen que sustentarse en otros proyectos más grandes, quizás. Desarrollo de casas y proyectos que le den a la oficina un poco más de crédito para poder gastar en estos proyectos más pequeños. Entonces, en el contexto chileno, por ahora, es muy poco probable que una empresa se dedique 100% a hacer este tipo de proyectos. Siempre tienen que hacer algo más para poder financiar esta situación.
Muy bien, muy interesante. De cierta forma es como el contexto, la cultura, la economía también influencian la manera como el uso de software se hace, ¿verdad?
Claro que sí. Y también, por lo menos la pequeña escala, la construcción de vivienda en Chile, todavía sigue siendo un proceso muy artesanal. Por lo tanto, la integración de nuevas tecnologías, el BIM, todavía no es muy bien recibido en este sector. Entonces, por eso también se ha masificado su uso en proyectos más grandes, hospitales, edificios de oficina, ya que ahí, claro, la complejidad del proyecto amerita una inversión más grande y se puede implementar bien de buena manera. Los proyectos pequeños es muy poco, todavía estamos recién iniciando en esa parte.
Gracias. Pedro?
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, thanks. And it's interesting, like 4 different works can combine different softwares like BIM, visualization, thermal analysis, and generative process, and together they can create different kinds of forms to create architecture, creator or visualization architecture. When we use a generative process, or we use a thermal analysis or a BIM software to develop a project, we use these softwares, make a structure to develop this result. So when we understand this different technology and apply these different technologies in the school or in offices of architecture. Normally no, but usually you can construct a new vision of the architecture, a new vision of how you can use the different kinds of acknowledgement like thermal comfort, like daylight or economy in the beam to develop a new way to teach or a new way to programming or constructing project architecture. I think these four works they created like a road, like a line to the digital thinking that we create a digital design and we can show some aspects of new architecture. No, because the computer has used science 18s, but the new kind of to project or teaching new generation designs like this. We can use this software to develop new space or new thermal analysis or new visualizations.
Okay, thank you. So, Tiago, would you like to add a few questions?
Yeah. Okay. So, first of all,
and also, if you would like to cross on each other, please, you're more than welcome. If you'd like to put questions in the chat or something. But Tiago, please.
Do you want to ask something to each other? To each other's here? That's no problem. No? Okay, so I can have a few more questions. And then maybe first one to Johanna. I mean, first of all, I mean, that's a very nice pleasure to be here with you, and also congratulations for all your researches and essays that are very interesting to be here and SIGraDi in this section. And then you'll start with Johanna. And I was wondering if it would be possible to combine some of that 7 styles of visualization. For instance, let's say that if you decide to combine the digital painting and the sketch, I think there's a strong relationship between them. And do you think that it could be possible? And what kind of process and modeling and editing the image you imagine that could happen if you combine these 7 levels of 7 styles of visualization?
We can definitely combine them, of course. And some styles have more similarity to each other, like the digital sketch and the digital painting and the sketch are very, very similar. And the boundaries are very thin here. The way we, let's say, distinguish it is because the sketch is a little bit with an unfinished character. It's a little bit deliberately in purpose with not very fixed proportions in order to leave space for imagination. I think it's similar to when we used the pencil, depending how refined the pencil is and how detailed the drawing is. Or I remember my architecture teachers would usually do the corrections with a very thick pencil that they didn't want to really define what I want to do. They just wanted to show a direction, show an atmosphere. So I suppose that all these could, of course, be combined, but each of them has its purpose to leave space to your imagination, whereas the totally realistic style doesn't leave a lot of space for imagination, interpretation, or further evolution, because it's something fixed, something very, very rigid. And I would say that there are more categories. So this is just one way to categorize stuff. But yeah, I'm very interested in this research of stylistic
I'm sorry, Johanna, your audio is not good for us.
Okay.
Maybe there is a problem. Oh, so sad. It's a pity.
Okay, maybe she'll return soon.
Yeah,
but we have,
she's coming.
A question from Carol Ponce. Okay, so Johanna, would you? We lost.
Could you finish?
I think my connection was cut, but my connection was cut. I don't have a very stable connection, but I thank you very much for your questions and looking forward to also.
Okay. Yeah, it is interesting to see where the research, which paths the researcher is going to take. I mean, what are going to be the findings when the base, the raw material grows, and you can research more and more images. So Carol Ponce makes a question about BIM. Interessant. So it's interesting the work about BIM and the whole reflection about the economic barrier. She asks, and I make this in English, okay, Johanna is just out. So Fidel, ¿está viendo la pregunta en el chat?
Sí.
Entonces, si queréis, puede...
Con respecto a eso...
Pero
nosotros...
voy a hacer la pregunta para que la transmisión sepa lo que se pasa. Interesante el trabajo sobre BIM y la reflexión sobre la barrera económica. Mi pregunta es, ¿qué tipo de empresas entrevistaron? ¿Todas tenían la misma experiencia con BIM? Y si se notó alguna diferencia en ese sentido.
Ya. Con respecto a eso, claro, para elegir a los casos de estudio, se tomó en cuenta, pusieron 4 variables. La primera es que la empresa diseñara y construyera. La segunda es que solamente diseñara, que estuviera solamente en ese proceso. La tercera es que fuera una empresa que diseñara exclusivamente pequeña escala, es decir, ampliaciones, remodelaciones y casas. Y la cuarta variable es que fueran empresas o oficinas que desarrollaran proyectos de gran envergadura, vivienda multifamiliar, edificios de oficinas, edificios hospitalarios y todo ese tema. Y claro, una de las principales diferencias estuvo claro en la implementación que estas tenían. Por ejemplo, BIM Forum define 3 tipos de implementaciones. El BIM integrado, que es cuando todas las partes trabajan en un mismo archivo, en un mismo documento común, y este solamente fue logrado por la empresa que tenía más experiencia con el uso BIM, que fue la Casa Antilhue. Los otros casos habían algunos que trabajaban con BIM de manera no integrada, multilateral, es decir, que habían empresas que manejaban el software y otras que no, pero igual había una desconexión entre ellas. No estaba todo unificado. Y claramente la diferencia también estuvo en cómo resultaron esos procesos. La empresa que tuvo el BIM integrado de manera BIM integrado, ellos tuvieron resultados mejores resultados en la ejecución. Hubieron menos descoordinaciones. Y claro, en cierta forma el tema económico ahí toma relevancia porque como lo dije antes, esta empresa que es Badi y Sofia, ellos trabajaban con BIM integrado en proyectos más grandes, entonces en cierta forma podían darse la libertad de trabajar de la misma manera, con la misma metodología, en un proyecto más pequeño porque en cierta forma se subsidiaba a partir del proyecto más grande. Porque, ¿cómo se llama? Es más fácil trabajar con esa manera, de tener un capital de fondo seguro.
Muchas gracias. Thank you.
I have a question for Pedro, if it's possible. Okay. Pedro, I mean, I was wondering if the same approach could be applied, or the same method could be applied in other conditions. Let's say with urban projects. Do you believe that it could be possible to apply the same methodology if in urban plans and urban projects? Let's say.
Sure. I am sure that you can use this process in some execution of other projects. An example of this work starts with a case study. When we finish this part of this article, we just have the conclusion now, but just we achieve the cost of the project and the initial composition of the shape. But in this moment, the algorithm, we can available the dynamic radiation, the daylight available, and you can create different kinds of shapes and add more rooms, add more dining rooms, bathrooms, and other space. So to test this programmation, we just enter it in a contest of architecture, and we start to try this algorithm in this contest. When we finish the contest, we will see if the algorithm can achieve some good result or not, or no. But in this moment, I and my group can create the different kinds of houses or different kinds of other types of architecture with this algorithm. So I believe in not in the next years, but when this kind of programmation is more sharing in architecture schools, or when a big company like Autodesk or other start to develop some automated forms to create a shape or composition, we commonly or usually we will see this kind of algorithm in new offices or new autonomous professionals, I believe.
Great to know.
Okay, we're almost at the end of the session. Before going on, I'd like to ask everyone to, if possible, open the cameras, and we have a nice screenshot of everyone, so you can have a nice register of this session for posterity. So everyone smile. Okay. One more, just as a guarantee, please. Thank you very much. And let's see, any final questions, any final? Okay, Carol, no problem. She's saying her camera doesn't work. So any final questions, any remarks, anyone?
Yeah, maybe just a very quick and small question for Danielle, if it's possible. Okay, very quick. I think that Lydia, we can say Lydia, no? Lydia. And Lydia.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lydia and the LF grammar together, they are kind of a masterpiece. Okay. And then I was wondering that how the design studio professors are leading with it or working with it, and how's the possibility to develop this with the students in a classroom, in atelier, for instance?
I think that it is in a prototype stage. It needs some development, but it has the potential to be applied in architectural studios, absolutely. And what I foresee is that it can be a useful tool for exploration of different algorithms to generate in a creative way different shapes for the building envelope. I'm also intending also to couple with with design of interior spaces. I don't know yet if it is possible, but I want to believe that it is. And there is also the potential to apply it in augmented reality and virtual reality, but it is another step that I think that it is necessary some more time. So I think in a more practical way, I think it is possible to apply it for generate in a desktop mode valid shapes for the building envelope that are efficient for the energetic performance of buildings. I think it has the potential also to constitute an alternative for the combat to combat the climate change. Generating renewable energy through a very common building infrastructure in the urban area. So I think it is the greatest potential contribution in this moment of Libya.
Great to know.
Thank you.
Time's up. Thank you very much for your presentations, for your presence and and for all the exchange we had here. It has been very interesting. It has been very enlightening. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it has been a good time for you too. And I hope we see you all, metaphorically in this case, because it's going to be in YouTube, but in the following presentation and the following keynote speech. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
Tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the experience. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
I see you.
Bye. Thank you.
E agora, se não me engano, acho que a gente